The League of Women Voters, Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids area, and Champlin Women of Today welcome you to this forum to meet the candidates running for Champlin Mayor. Champlin Council Wards 1 and 2 also have races. Watch their forums separately online as well. Meet the candidate forums are held without a live audience, and voters' questions were submitted online for the candidates. My name is Susan Witt, a member of the Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids area League of Women Voters. I live in Blaine, so I cannot vote for any of these candidates. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates for office. I'm sure these candidates care very much who you vote for, but the League does not. The League does hope that each of you will vote. The goal of our forums is to help citizens become informed voters. The candidates for Champlin Mayor are Kristin Elizondo, Megan Ann Jorgenson, and Ryan Sabas. We will begin with the questions which were provided to the candidates in advance. Candidates will alternate who answers each question first. Answers for these two questions are limited to 90 seconds each. Our timer, Wendy Homyak, will alert the candidates when their time is up. We'll begin with Ryan. What is your motivation to run for Champlin Mayor, and what experience or knowledge would help you to serve effectively?
Good evening. Thank you for hosting this event, and thank you to my two opponents here running against me for mayor. My name is Ryan Sabas, and I'm a proud husband to my beautiful wife, Haley, and a father to four. Our children, Ella, who's in 9th grade at Champlin Park High School, my daughter, Adeline, in 6th, my son, Channing, in 3rd, and my son, Abel, in 2nd. I am a lifelong Champlin resident and a graduate of Champlin Park High School. I have served on the Champlin City Council for the past 6 years, which has prepared me to lead our council as mayor. I have been there with my colleagues on the council to make the tough decisions, approve responsible budgets, take a stance on crime, and bring home a beautiful Mississippi Crossings development. I have been Mayor Ryan Karasik's acting mayor in his absence or during a conflict of interest. In that time, I, as acting mayor, oversaw the successful development of the Bowerberry Farm. I worked diligently with staff and a developer on key components that have made for a smooth and successful development.
Thank you. Megan, the same question.
I want to first thank the League of Women Voters for putting this together. I have wanted to be the President of the United States since 3rd or 4th grade. And unfortunately, throughout the years, there's been challenges. I was a caregiver to my mom, to my dad, currently to my son, who is under treatment for cancer. But they're older now and felt like this was the time that I could give back to the community. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, moved to Minnesota in 1987, and have never looked back about living here. I think Champlin is a great community, and I think it could even be greater if we brought more focus on the community and the great people and the great things that are here, the great businesses, the small businesses, the women, and especially the women's small businesses. There's so many great women who are trying to take care of their families, and I think we could take the time to really focus on them. I've been in the financial services industry for over 30 years, worked with mayors, city councils, businesses, people, individuals, and helped them grow their assets to take care of their families. And so I understand, especially in the situation where we are right now, with budgets and inflation, we need a good person who understands how the markets work and how to take care of the money situation for many, many situations that are going to arise.
Thank you. Kristin, next, the same question.
Thank you. My motivation to run for office to serve Champlin started 22 years ago, I think. I was getting ready to graduate from Emory Law School in Atlanta, and I was with my husband, and we became pregnant with my first daughter, Maddie. And I remember turning to my husband and saying, quit your job, find one in Minnesota, we're going back home, because there's no better place to live and definitely no better place to raise a family. So we came to the cities and we drove all around. We hit Minneapolis, St. Paul, all the suburbs, and we fell in love with Champlin. And back then there were not many stoplights. There definitely wasn't a roundabout. There wasn't even a movie theater, but Champlin has grown, and my family has grown. We now have Maya at the University of Minnesota, and Mateo is a freshman at Champlin Park. He plays football, so that means 4 more years of youth sports, which has been a real joy for us. So Champlin has been so good to me and has been so good to my family, and I want, if you live in Champlin and somebody calls you and they say, hey, we're thinking about moving to Champlin, I don't care if you are an immigrant family, a small business owner, a family with small children, a senior, I want you to be able to say, yeah, come to Champlin, 5-star review.
Thank you. The second question will begin with Megan. What are your goals for Champlin's future?
So I want it to be a destination where people come, they bring their families, they shop, they eat, they really want to move here. It makes them want to be a part of the community. And, you know, I give Ryan and the rest of the team a lot of credit. I think the new event center is really a big deal, honestly. And there's so many great things we can do with it. And my focus has always been women's small businesses. I have 2 small businesses myself. I promote women's small businesses in my current job as well as on the side. And I think there's so much more we can do with small businesses, female-owned businesses with the event center, and really make this a destination. Bring in people to really support the community, and eventually, again, want to move here and bring their families. And if people have left, graduates from Champlin, have them come back, bring their family, and live here. It's a great place to live.
Thank you. Kristin, what are your goals for Champlin's future?
Thanks. So I have an overarching goal, and that is to make sure that I bring strong leadership that demands transparency and excellence from everyone at Champlin in the government, from elected officials to staff. To that end, though, there are 3 specific goals I have. One is, first and foremost, I don't think there's a more important thing than feeling safe in your community. And so I will make sure that we provide police and fire with the support and the tools that they need. But that also means that we need to make sure that our roads and our parks and our streets are safe for everyone as well. The second goal I have is to make sure that I think it's really important to feel as though you can participate in your community and belong in your community. And so to that end, I will make sure that the city of Champlin is providing programming, events, celebrations that welcome in all of our community to Champlin. And additionally, our small businesses to be innovative. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Ryan, what are your goals for Champlin's future?
Well, Champlin has an incredibly bright future, but it's imperative that the right leadership is here to keep it that way. The next council will need to hire several top employees due to retirements. While elected officials like myself will come and go, these positions are generational. They will have impacts on where Champlin is now and where it goes for decades to come. So who's making these hires is critical. Our council and I have made bold decisions to repair, replace, and maintain our infrastructure. We have made major investments in our neighborhoods. For example, this next year in 2023, the City Council is doing the largest single neighborhood road improvement project we've ever done in Ward 4. It's a $10 million project. We are on the cusp of an historic move in Champlin, a council initiative to increase our police force by 3 officers next year. This will allow an additional patrol officer at all times. Supporting, properly funding our police will be the priority today, tomorrow, and as long as I'm serving as your mayor.
Thank you. The next questions were submitted by the public online, and candidates will have up to 1 minute to answer. We will begin with Kristin, and the first question is, please explain what your perception as to what the role of mayor is or isn't?
So Champlin has a city manager council form of government. And so to me, the mayor is basically one of a 5-member council. And our job is to reach out to the community, to meet them where they are, to find out what their priorities are, their needs are, and then we bring those to the table. And then as a group of 5, we use the support of the staff at the City of Champlin and work to come to a consensus and decide what our priorities are and our goals are. And then we pass those off to the city manager and direct them to use their resources to make those things happen.
Thank you. Ryan, the same question.
So, just one little correction. Champlin is a mayor and council, but we have a city administrator, which is slightly different than city manager in Champlin. And with that said, though, we have, as mayor, you are a member of one of 5. It's a group, and everything we do is a group effort. In my 6 years on the council, I have worked with our council in tremendous team building, working together to find a solution, and trying to get a consensus. Being the mayor is a little different than being a council member. It's consensus building, making sure we have a decision at the end of a meeting. You're running the meetings, whether it's a council meeting or a work session. And it's giving that direction to our staff to then proceed with the direction that the council wishes to go in and to represent the city well. At being the top elected official in the city, it's imperative that you understand what's going on in the community, understand how City Hall works, and it's overall, I think, how you work with your colleagues.
Thank you. Megan?
So in my mind, the mayor is the voice of the people, and they're here to represent the needs and the wants, but also to make tough decisions, right? Because at the end of the day, there's budgets that need to be met, and not everyone can get what they want. And so it's really working with the council and the rest of the team to make sure we're doing what's right for the citizens in the community of Champlin. You also have to go out into the other parts of the cities, Anoka, Brooklyn Park, Osseo, they're our sisters, and be a cheerleader for Champlin. Fight for what we want and what we need, but also do that in other parts of the country. Make sure that we're bringing people to Champlin. Again, it's a destination. And so I think working with everyone with that common goal of making Champlin the best city it can be, that's the way I see the role of the mayor.
Okay, thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with Ryan. And it's, if you are elected mayor, what method will you use to identify possible conflicts of interest? Knowing how important transparency is when for any elected official, how will you inform constituents about the possible conflict and your subsequent action or inaction?
Thank you for the question. It's actually a great question. We have come across that several times in my time on the council. I recently abstained from a vote on the council that I knew the family that was building something here in town. And so I think it's important that you notify your colleagues right away that, hey, I'm going to abstain from this. I'm not going to take part in a discussion or vote on this item. I mentioned earlier about me being the acting mayor for Mayor Ryan Karasik. He had a personal relationship with the Bauer family. And so through that process, he notified the council that he's not going to be taking part in any discussions or the vote. So therefore, when it came to any work session, council meetings, or working with the developer and staff, I was the one who ran point on all those. So I think right now, as an organization, we're in a good place where we are alerting our colleagues as to when you have a conflict. But at the end of the day, it's up to each elected individual to make sure we're notifying each other of a conflict.
Thank you. Megan, the same question?
So I come from an industry, financial services, where it is extremely transparent. And so for me and my ethics and morals, that will always be something that I, as the mayor, will always be very open if there's any conflicts, but also to make it an open environment where everyone feels they can have a conversation and talk about any challenges or conflicts of interest that they might have. And I think being very clear with the community, the citizens of Champlin it's important for us to be open with each other, but it's ultimately the citizens in the community that we have to be very, very open with and be very clear and transparent and never have them doubting what we're saying or what we're doing.
Thank you. Kristin, the same.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are times when there are a conflict of interest, and we do have the expectation that people will remove themselves or make known their conflicts. But there's also, in a small city, we're 25,000 people, and in a small city, lots of times there's the perception of a conflict of interest or people self-promoting or such. So it's really important that we take the extra step. So we have open meetings. The law requires that we have open meetings, and so people can come in and see what the business of the government is. But I think we need to take it one step further. We need to be proactive and make sure we're getting out ahead of that we have agendas for meetings that are out and available on the website well in advance of the meeting so that anybody that could be affected can go to that meeting and participate in the open meeting, because we don't just need to know that we're handling conflicts of interest, we need to be proactive to make sure that our residents perceive us as addressing conflicts of interest.
Thank you. The next question, we will begin with Megan, and it is in 2021, the City Council approved the bid for a $10 million city facility, the Mississippi Crossing Building. Please share your vision and business model that will allow this facility to best serve the residents of Champlin.
So the first thing that I think about the event center is that we should have businesses that are in the city of Champlin being the vendors for this event center. It shouldn't, unless we can't find someone within our own community, we should not be going outside the confines of Champlin. We need to support our businesses, and I think that's a great way to do that. We're going to have to do a lot of advertising. We possibly could need some consulting, but I think word of mouth is going to be a big way to get the word out about it. But also maybe having a big event where we can invite the community and they can share their experience and what it means to Champlin. I think that could be a great way to show the value of the event center and to show what it could be. You know, we might have someone who wants to have a wedding there. We have to help them envision what that event center could be for their particular event.
Thank you. Kristin, same question.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful facility. I'm sure most people in Champlin have driven by it, and I think there's great opportunity there. And to be honest, it's built and it's done. So we come to this with the facility over there. So my biggest concern now would be, what is it moving forward? My vision for it would be, first and foremost, this is something for the residents of Champlin. I've lived here for 22 years, and I've always been a little sad about the lack of ability for Champlin residents to access the Mississippi River. And so I'm hoping that as we decide how we manage this and what it's going to look like, because that we're kind of deciding that now, that we put an emphasis on making sure that Champlin residents can enjoy this and that they don't have to go and pay money to go to a restaurant to enjoy it, or they don't have to go rent in a facility to enjoy it, that they can go to their Mississippi River and enjoy it.
Thank you. Ryan, same question.
Thank you. So the question was $10 million for the building. It was actually in the $4-ish million. And the city of Champlin did receive over $3.5 million in bond money for the crossings area. So just a little correction, $10 million is probably the improvements for the entire area as a whole down there, but not the event center. Last evening in a work session, we were discussing how we're going to manage the event center, whether it's in-house with a hired employee that manages it and runs it, or if we're going to go to the private sector. The council has decided to move forward at this time with a RFP, a request for proposal, from the private sector to see about running the facility. But the single most important thing and why our current council built the building was to give access to the residents of Champlin. So whether it's ran by the city or ran by a private sector, we're going to ensure that residents have ample access to the building and reasonable rates to host events there as well.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Kristin, and it's as a part of the September 12th work session, there is a council initiative spreadsheet. There are many items that may be considered for spending. Selfie stations, branding, boat races, trout pond improvements, fireworks, etc. How would you balance these types of things with the more dire needs of our city? Street repair and replacement, infrastructure upkeep, and wastewater management, to name a few.
That's a great question. So you're asking me how I would balance it, and my job as mayor is to be the direct representative of the people of Champlin. So to make those types of decisions, you have to have the input of the people from Champlin, and you can't sit back and wait for that input to come. You need to proactively go out and meet residents where they are and find out where they're at. We have a strong history of fiscal responsibility, in fact, conservatism in Champlin, and I want to stick with that if that's what the constituents want. But they need to know that we need to balance their desires for improvements, their desires for the betterment and the maintaining of our city with that fiscal responsibility. So after I take in all of that information, then we work in a work session and we decide, based on what the residents of Champlin want, what are the decisions to be made. It's not my priority, it's Champlin's priority.
Thank you. Ryan, the same question.
Could I ask you to repeat the question, please?
Yes. As part of the September 12th work session, there's a council initiative spreadsheet, and there are many items that would be considered for spending. Selfie stations, branding, boat races, trout pond improvements, fireworks, etc. How will you balance these types of things with more dire needs of our city? Street repair and replacement, infrastructure upkeep, and wastewater management, to name a few.
There's a lot to unpack there. All right, so here's where I go with that. We have many different budget meetings. We're still working through the budget meetings for 2023. And the council brings some initiatives they want to see possibly on there for consideration. They don't always make the list. For example, I brought back boat races. It was something that's been done in Champlin for a long time. It got cut out, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. I thought it would be a good option, along with the other riverfront events, to bring residents to the river, get residents engaged with the river now that we have the crossings. We're upping our game on the fireworks. We're celebrating opening the Mississippi crossings next year. So we're up their game a little bit, but we do get big sponsorships here in town for those. So we put up some money, but so do the sponsorships. Now, with that said, the dire needs, this council has done we're doing 10 years worth of road improvement projects in the next 5 years. I mentioned earlier how important infrastructure is. Champlin, really the east side of Champlin, was built in about a 15-year span. So all those roads are coming due, along with all the roads in Ward 2. And we want to make sure that those priorities are finished first.
Thank you. Megan.
So the selfie stations kind of threw me a little bit. And, again, I think there's a couple things here. Sponsorship, I think, is a big thing. There's a lot of businesses within Champlin that may want to be sponsors to bring awareness to their businesses. I think we open that up to them. There might be photographers who want to help with selfie stations, or whatever that looks like. So I think there's ways to look at it. We're headed into a very interesting time right now with interest rates going up, inflation is still high, and we need to make sure that the things that get done in a very smart way, but in a way that improves our community. So we have to balance that. And when I say we, it's the community, it's the mayor, it is the council, it's everyone involved. But I think there's ways to get things done. It's going to take a lot of collaboration. And I think with that, we can make things really, really cool for the kickoff of the new center, but also make sure the city's taken care of.
Thank you. We will begin the next question with Ryan. Now that most of our land has been developed and park dedication from the builders is coming to an end, what creative ways can we raise money to maintain the beautiful park system that we have?
Thank you. Good question. So part of, long before I was on the council, we've had some very conservative and fiscally conservative leadership in Champlin's history. And through that process, we've been able to build up funds that we are able to, in other words, live off the interest bearing of those accounts. Champlin has always done a good job of looking well into the future, whether it's with infrastructure or our parks. Yes, it is true, the Bowerberry Farm and a new apartment building, the Bowline, was kind of the last big park dedication fees that we were going to see in the community. Champlin is known for its parks. That's why people live here. That's why people have families here. It's fantastic, and we have to make sure they're well taken care of. And it is our job through the general budget to make sure that is done, and we don't have to go to the residents to borrow money to maintain our parks. So again, making sure we're smart with our money, smart with the money that the city has set aside for parks, and making sure we're using it wisely and taking care of them.
Thank you. Megan, the same question.
I would say making sure that the general fund is invested in a way where we're maximizing returns without risk, so that we can meet some of our, make sure we're meeting our obligations, but also take care of the parks. People are becoming more involved in their community and taking care of it, protecting it, and so it has to be a priority. It has to be a priority for everyone. Maybe it means people volunteering to pick up trash. Maybe it means people volunteering to put in flowers and trees. But I think if we can, again, work as a team, come up with our priorities, make sure the money's there. Maybe people make donations. A lot of people leave money within their estates to the parks of the city of Champlin. Making people think of different ways that they can support the community. I really think we can continue to grow and protect the parks for our children and our children's children.
Thank you. Kristin, same question?
Yeah, so to piggyback off of what Megan was saying, you do have to be creative and innovative at times, especially when you do have a fiscally conservative community that hesitates to spend money sometimes. And you can push that envelope a little bit and go to the people and say, you love your parks, you want to experience your parks, do you want to spend on your parks? But if that's not the case and you don't have the money in the general fund and you only have so many volunteers, then the next thing you need to do as mayor is you need to create relationships and partnerships that can create creative ways to get money through grant programs. You can alter a park or expand a park in a way that it's environmentally sound or forward thinking, and there are grants available that way. So you need somebody that's going to do the legwork, create the relationships, and work with partners to bring that to Champlin if that's your limitation.
Thank you. Megan, we'll begin with you on the next question. And that is, the D.A.R.E program has been consistently shown in research to be completely ineffective in preventing substance abuse in children. Despite this, D.A.R.E is still utilized with the Champlin Police Department and the elementary schools. Will any action be taken to reallocate funds and resources to programs that have been proven by evidence to be effective at such matters?
It's an interesting question. So I can't say I'm an expert on what the D.A.R.E program is, if it's successful, if it isn't. So I would leave that up with the Champlin Police. I come from a long-standing family of police and firemen and women. I trust them. They've helped me in many situations in my family, and so I would leave that up to them. I would want their expertise, their opinion on what they think, how they feel. If there's other things that we should be doing, I think this is a huge problem in many communities across the United States. I know it's a problem in Champlin, and we have to find ways to help the situation with drugs. It can be decimating to families, and we have to step up and do something. So I would leave that up to the police. They're the experts, and I trust them.
Thank you. Kristin.
So I wish the person who asked the question were here, because I would ask them what they think the D.A.R.E program is, because I'm a graduate. I graduated from high school in 1986, and the D.A.R.E program of 1986 was not even related to the D.A.R.E program of today. The D.A.R.E program of today in our schools is much more about just raw decision-making, positive decision-making for youth. So I would have to investigate that a little bit and make sure that the present D.A.R.E program is a problem and doesn't have the outcomes that we're looking for. But I would say that they are part of the police department. Our schools have, Jackson Middle School has Officer Nelson at the school as a school resource officer, and Champlin Park, although that's in Brooklyn Park, they do house our students, and they have Officer Dickman, and I would speak with them and say, how do you feel about this program? And I think that if we presented them an alternative that was proven to have better outcomes, I'm confident that they would be open to new programming because they want nothing more than to help the students they work for.
Thank you. Ryan, the same question.
So it's interesting, my kids are at the age where they have recently gone through it or going through the D.A.R.E program at their different schools. And I really do think that the D.A.R.E program offers something other than just the drug component of what D.A.R.E is today. In our communities, we want the police to be having interactions, good interactions with the youth. And I believe that alone is a reason to keep the D.A.R.E program alive. Just recently, our council has discussed the possibility of having a joint powers meeting with our counterparts in Brooklyn Park, since we share Champlin Park, Jackson, and some elementary schools with them, as well as the school district, because we are concerned about the health of our schools and our youth, and see what we can do as a collaboration with our neighbors to the south, as well as the school district, to making sure we have a healthy situation in our schools and with our youth from both communities that serve Champlin Park, as well as Jackson and elementary schools. So I hope we can move forward with that and better our schools that way.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Kristin. What are your views on the role of the police department in our community? Beyond policing, what can we do to promote public safety?
So public safety is obviously so much more than policing. I talked about it before. Public safety is feeling safe when you're in your environment, driving on your streets. Are your intersections safe? Are your sidewalks safe? Are your parks safe? So besides policing, in fact, if you talk to a police officer, they would say that the number one thing that you can do to promote public safety is educate people. Champlin is a very, very safe city with regards to violent crime, but there are some property crimes, and they're very upsetting to people, and whether or not those property crimes are going up or the perception of them is going up doesn't really matter. People either feel safe or they don't feel safe. So I would say that the role of a mayor in public safety would be community safety would be helping the police department educate our residents on what they can do to avoid these property things. The simplest thing is lock your car, park it in the light, put the little cool thing that they have on the catalytic converters now, because police react to crime. They seldom can prevent property crime.
Thank you. Ryan, the same question.
So the role of police in our community, it's an interesting question. There's so many different roles that police play in today's society. First and foremost, I want to make sure that our police in Champlin know that they are supported by the elected officials, because that reverberates to them from the public. And right now we have that in Champlin overwhelmingly. We've had some challenges over the last several years on the council with some of the civil unrest and other situations that have occurred with crime. Crime has increased over time in Champlin, and some of it is the petty crime and that happens breaking into cars or things of that nature. When I first got on the council, one of the things I thought was really important we brought back to the city was having bike patrol officers. But we have to have enough cops to do that. Now, we have had the bike patrols in the neighborhoods interacting with the youth, with the people of the Champlin, and as well, it's kind of a stealth way to making sure we are in and around our neighborhoods where some of that crime could be happening.
Thank you. Megan?
I would say the first thing is the police need to feel like they're appreciated and wanted and needed. And you know, for me, my brother was a Minneapolis police officer. He's retired. And my biggest thing that kept me awake at night is knowing that he was going home to his 3 boys. And so I think that has to be a priority of our community. We want our Champlin police to go home every single night to their families, safe and sound. And by that, showing them that appreciation and that love and that dedication, they're going to want to be more involved in our community. It doesn't mean that, you know, that they're, I think the biggest thing is they have to help us protect our families, because that's really important to all of us. I agree, people locking their doors. I mean, police officers walking around and showing them certain things that they can do to help protect their homes. I think there's a lot of things that we can proactively do with our police that will prevent them from always having to be so reactive. And I think it starts with just being very respectful to them and knowing that they're wanted and needed in the community.
Thank you. The next question, we will begin with Ryan. Residents of all ages need affordable housing at all stages of life. What will you do to help the city of Champlin expand truly affordable housing instead of just executive affordable housing?
Good question. That's a big issue across not only our city, but across America right now, affordable housing. And I don't know if there's an exact science on how to do this appropriately, as you see other cities have struggled with putting rent caps on, things of that nature. But at the same time, you got to balance making sure you have a nice, clean community. We have, in the past, developed the Legends of Champlin, which is an affordable housing facility off Theater Drive across from Clives. But it's not always up to the city as to what the development's going to be. If something is zoned appropriately, then the developer is allowed to move forward with it. But with that said, there are spots in the city where I think we could expand some affordable housing coming into the future. Some spots along Dayton Road where we have started to have conversations with some apartment developers in recent months about putting up a new facility. And I would like to expand on that and making sure Champlin is an affordable place for all people from all walks of life and young families to be able to stay in maybe a town they grew up in.
Thank you. Megan?
I think there's this perception out there that if it's affordable housing, it brings in trouble and the wrong type of people, which I think is not really how it is. These are people who want to live in the community because they feel safe, they feel like there's opportunities for their family to grow and be successful, and who are we to stop them from being able to do things like that? I think Champlin has to be bold around this. We have to find a way to balance the safety of the community, the investments of the community, but also to help others. And I think there needs to be a dialogue with everyone involved in the community, including the city council, the mayor, and the police, because we're all impacted by this, and if we can help someone succeed in life, then we've done our part on this earth. So I think there needs to be a better conversation around it.
Thank you. Kristin?
Yeah, I agree with Megan. It's important that we as leaders in the community, if we're getting the reaction of not in my backyard, then it's our job to persuade our community that maybe that isn't in alignment with what our values are. And people that have appropriate housing are not the people that are troubles. The people that don't have appropriate housing are the people that struggle in our society. So this kind of comes back around to that same parks question, which is money. And if any of us we three could solve the affordable housing problem, we would have a bigger job than Mayor of Champlin. I'll tell you, this is just a monstrosity of a problem in society right now. But that doesn't mean we can't do anything. And at the level of mayor, at the level of city, again, it comes down to creating relationships and creating partnerships, because usually when you're doing things to help out with affordable housing in a city, it's not just a city, it's a county, it's a state, it's federal, and it's doing the legwork, doing the work to go out there and find out what those innovative ways are to finance that.
Thank you. We will begin the next question with Megan. Mm-hmm. And now that Mississippi Crossings is nearing completion, what's the next the next big thing on the agenda?
That's a great question. Well, I personally wanted patina to come to Champlin, but it went to Maple Grove, so I'm very disappointed about that. I would say, attracting businesses, small businesses like patina. They bring in the crowds, they bring in the dollars, and we have a lot of great small businesses. My son works for Mavericks, so if you haven't been to Mavericks Restaurant, go there. They're fantastic. We have but we need more. We need more small businesses. We need to make it a destination. I don't necessarily know that we need something as big as the event center, honestly. I'd love to see us have like a Main Street like Anoka and like Osseo. They're really just shining with those small, family type restaurants and businesses and coffee shops. So I don't think it has to be big. I think we need to bring some hometown back to Champlin. I think that could be really good for us.
Thank you. Kristin?
Yeah, I think that Champlin is about built out. Our population is leveling out, so we're kind of where we're at, especially after Mississippi crossings. So I think that we need to just keep maintaining and improving what we already have. I'd love to have a conversation with Megan about patina because I look at Champlin a little bit different than some people do. Champlin is a unique community, and I love it. And the things that I love about it, on the other side of that coin, are the things that really are challenging to Champlin, and that is we are bordered by a river that is beautiful, but people don't like to cross. And then we're bordered by a park reserve, which is beautiful, but people don't like to cross. And then on the other side, we've got the patinas in Maple Grove. And so Champlin is unique. And so I would start talking to business owners like the woman at B. Woolen that I met the other day. I'm like, how do you make your business work? And she's like, I need to make it a destination. And how I did that was next door to my store is a meeting area, and people cross the river for that. So we need to figure out ways to innovate with our businesses that are already here to make them successful.
Thank you. Ryan?
I love some of the stuff that Megan and Kristin said there. It's kind of an exciting question. It's been extremely exciting to work on the crossings, which has probably been one of the biggest developments the city's ever done. And to Kristin's point, Champlin is built out and pretty much leveled out for residential. But moving into the future, maybe the things won't be as exciting as a riverfront restaurant or an event center or amphitheater, things of that nature. But it's going to be important that we maintain who we are and what we are. Our neighborhoods on the east side of 169, a lot of them were built in the 70s and 80s. We need to make sure as they're hitting 50 years old and older that we are putting in the ability for these neighborhoods to maintain their values. We've been working on that as a council by having grants for different neighborhoods throughout the city to allow residents that are maybe not as financially privileged to help make improvements to their homes, things of that nature. So that is probably one of the most important things or exciting things that a council would need to work on moving forward.
Thank you. We will now move to our last question. Give examples of ways that you have been able to work productively with those who you do not share their opinions. And we'll begin with Kristin.
So there's death, taxes, and if you get more than one person in a room, there's going to be disagreements and different opinions. And so the question is, what do you do with those differing opinions? So I sit on a board of directors of a large nonprofit here in the city, and it's a large board, and we are intentionally very diverse. We have police officers, we have people that work in the juvenile area, we have people that work for nonprofits, I'm an attorney, we have a physician. There's just a lot of people that are on the board, and when we come to the table to do big picture exercises of where we're going to go with the nonprofit, everybody comes with an opinion. And so I like to think that I'm a collaborative person, and that the way that we work through our differences on that board is that we have relationships that are built on respect. And they're built on respect because the first thing we do is we listen to each other, we make sure that we're heard, we hold each other accountable, we make sure we come to these meetings prepared. And so I feel like in that instance, it's an example of how that's very similar to the what the city council would be, that I can bring people together and collaborate that have differing opinions.
Thank you. Ryan?
So it was a little interesting when I was elected to the council in 2016 here in Champlin, and we've had the same exact council since then, so it's been kind of neat. We've gotten to grow with each other and kind of understand each other. There's been several times when we haven't agreed. Most of the time people see a 5-0 or a 4-1 vote when it comes to a council meeting, but there's several hours of work sessions that happen next door in the room next door where we have to kind of battle things out and come to an agreement. The latest one, for example, we talk about policing and how we're going to do that within a responsible way to make sure our budget's not completely out of line. You know, it's true, Champlin's going to see a large tax increase going into next year because of inflation, but also because of the council initiative with police. And where I'm going with that is we didn't agree on exactly how to do that, but we came to an agreement last night on how we're going to do that. And not only that, there's been several other times, obviously, as your council member, you're one of 5. You got to have 3 for anything to move forward. And so it's working together collectively and being respectful of each other to making sure you can get there and be heard and everyone is heard and understood.
Thank you. Megan?
Well, this is a tough question for me because I'm very opinionated, and all my friends and family are going to agree with that when they see this. But saying that, I manage a team of salespeople, and it's taught me to be very humble because I'm not always right. I'm right a lot of times, but not always. And you have to step back when you know you're not right, and you have to listen. And over the years, I've learned that listening is the best thing. And sometimes you have to step down a little bit on what you believe is the right thing to do because it might help someone else. And their opinion and their decision might be the right one, right? Even though it's a little bit harder to let go, sometimes you just have to do that because you know in the long run it's going to be better for everyone. So I see that in this kind of situation. Sometimes I might just have to bite my tongue and let somebody else really influence the decision because in the long term it's going to be the right thing.
Thank you. And thank you all for the thoughtful answers to those questions. We will now have each candidate can give a 1-minute closing statement, and we'll begin with Ryan.
All right, thank you again for everyone for being here, watching on TV, and you guys putting this together. Champlin is home. It's my home. It's your home. We have something very incredible here, as we alluded to this evening. And as mayor, I intend to keep it that way. From the first day I served on the council, I have strived each day to look through the lenses of the residents. How this affects them, whether it's our annual budget process, community safety, or a significant project. If you like what you see today in Champlin, what's on the horizon in Champlin, the steps we've taken in community outreach, improved events such as Father Hennepin and others, having worked with and kept our movie theater here, our Mississippi Crossings development, then I am the candidate you'd like for mayor. We don't just approve and move on. We honestly strive for the best. It's our life and it's our way of living. In the words of Mayor Ryan Karasik, in our last Champlin Chronicle, he said, "Sabas and I, we both dream big. And instead of asking why we can't do something, we ask how. We push the envelope. Let's keep this thing moving forward, and my promise to you is I'll roll up my sleeves and I'll work hard every day for my fellow Champlin residents."
Thank you. Megan?
I would ask the residents of Champlin to really think about a person that they connect with and who meets the guidelines and the needs that they need for their family. I have 2 older boys. I'm a boy mom. I'm a dog mom. And I'm always thinking about other people and their families and what they need and what they want to have a good life. Because at the end of the day, that's really all that we want. And so I don't see myself really as the mayor or the leader, that whatever anyone thinks that the mayor is. I'm really here to be the voice of the community and to make sure that we're doing the things to make us safe here, successful, be able to enjoy life, and at the end of the day, to do the things that we want to do for our families so that they can grow, thrive, and be successful long term. And that's what I would ask. If they think I'm the person to do that, then I would ask for them to consider me for the mayor position.
Thank you. Kristin?
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for moderating, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. With every office in Minnesota on the ballot this year because of redistricting, I cannot imagine the time and effort you are all putting into this, and I appreciate you giving us the ability to share a little of what it's a little, but a little of our thoughts, and give the residents of Champlin an opportunity to get to know us a little bit. I hope I've earned your vote tonight. If I haven't earned your vote tonight, I would like the opportunity to try and earn your vote. So you can reach out to me at my website, which is elizondoformayor.com, or my public Facebook page, which is Elizondo for Mayor of Champlin, because more than anything, I want to meet the residents of Champlin, find out what their concerns are, their issues are, and show them that I'm the person that can address those. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all candidates for speaking to voters about issues and for simply running for mayor of Champlin. Thanks to all of you for watching and for your interest in becoming informed voters. Thank you to QCTV for making the forum available to all of us. You will find links to all the Meet the Candidate forums on the LWV ABC website, QCTV's website, and YouTube. You can also find information about joining the League of Women Voters on LWVABCMN.org. Membership is open to everyone 18 years and older. You can request an absentee ballot now on the Secretary of State's website, mnvotes.org, or vote anytime after Friday, September 23rd. You will need to register to vote or update your registration. You can also do that online or when you go to vote. Make your voice heard in the general election by voting on or before November 8th. Thank you and good evening.